Hello, my name is Christopher Hromalik, and I'm an Associate Professor of Spanish and the Coordinator of Spanish and French at Onondaga Community College in Syracuse, New York. I'm also the chair of the ACTFL Distance Learning Special Interest Group. Today, I'd like to share some guidance as each of us embarks on a journey to moving online in a hurry. For this video, I'll walk through the following steps. First, we'll start with a reality check. Then, we'll move on to conducting an analysis in a hurry. We'll move on to backward design, also done in a hurry. I've put together a sample lesson for you, also done quickly. We'll talk briefly about using video. I'll present other resources you can use. And finally, we'll talk about flexibility and forgiveness. Let's start with what I'll call a reality check. First, online courses take a long time to design and develop. It's hard to imagine that some of us have been told with only a few days' notice that we're transitioning to online instruction. Let's get this out of the way right now. Perfection is not possible and cannot be your goal right now. The goal right now, as you can probably imagine, is to just get the job done. Some things we should consider as we plan these lessons at a distance. First, our students did not sign up for an online course. We can say what we want about how they need to do what they have to do, and we all know most students will. But it's the students that may have been struggling to begin with that are going to suffer the most if we do not keep them in mind. Students may have limited access to technology, and they may not have the tools to communicate synchronously online at this time. Many may have family members who are sick. Many may also be sick themselves. Many students may be scared or nervous. Some may be home alone while parents work. Many community colleges, four-year colleges, and universities, some students may have children at home from school with them. Many may not have the experience to navigate complex tools for synchronous interaction. They may have a phone, and yes, it is most likely a smartphone, but they may not have a computer. Students may have a spotty internet connection, or there may be a limit to how much data they can use, which, let's be honest, they should ideally save for emergency purposes anyway. The steps you can take are the following. We'll start with a brief front-end analysis. We'll talk briefly about backward design and how we can use it as a tool for online instruction. But since this will be backward design in a hurry, we may not get into some of the important aspects of backward design, such as creating essential questions that guide our lesson planning for a unit of instruction. We'll simply use backward design as a means of having learning outcomes guide the development of our instruction. We'll talk about developing your online instruction. Finally, although I won't touch upon implementation and evaluation, please be sure to take the time to reflect during this time of online instruction to determine what is and is not working as you go through this process. Let's start with a front-end analysis conducted in a hurry. I recommend asking yourself these questions before you begin. First, what technology do students have? Remember that technology is not necessarily just digital technology. Think pens, pencils, textbook too. Do students have access to the internet? Please remember that some areas of the country have better internet than others. Your students may have broadband internet access, or they may not. They may have data caps on their internet access. What technology does your institution provide? Chromebooks, textbooks? Maybe not much of anything at all in terms of digital technology. What can you feasibly expect students to do at this time? Finally, consider what other information you might need to design your instruction quickly. Let's move on to using backward design, also in a hurry. In a perfect world, with more time to prepare online instruction for students, we would follow the 3 steps of backward design very carefully, thinking of essential questions and ensuring we were planning highly engaging learning experiences for students. Right now, let's be honest with ourselves. We just need to keep our students on track to the best of their ability. But it is important to still think about what learners should be able to do with the language, because doing this will help ensure that we are not designing unnecessary instruction when time is limited for all of us. In Stage 2 of backward design, you will determine acceptable evidence. In other words, you begin to think about how students will be assessed. Online instruction offers numerous ways to assess student learning in the 3 modes of communication. I would recommend that you offer choices to students at this stage and that you be flexible in how you ask students to complete assignments. By providing multiple means of action and expression, you help learners of all abilities complete the tasks you set forth. You also save yourself the headache of trying to troubleshoot that one piece of technology that you have required students to use, but they are having trouble with. By offering choices, students can simply move on to a different option if their first choice is not working for them. In Stage 3, you plan learning experiences and instruction. I again recommend providing options to students for how they access content. Some of your students may have limited bandwidth and may not be able to access a video you found on YouTube or that you found in a publisher database. Some students may have data caps and should save their data for when they or a family member has an emergency. Providing a video is an excellent idea for most students, but including a text-based option that provides the equivalent information may not be ideal as the only source of information for a language course, but it will certainly be helpful to students and could save you a lot of time and headaches in the long run. The readings could be from your course textbook, a blog post, an online reading, or something you put together yourself in a hurry. When you consider students and their needs and the barriers they will face in the online environment, and you then provide multiple means of representation, you are then providing more inclusive instruction. What's more, it helps reduce the number of questions that you get about how to access information because of technology issues. Finally, keep in mind the 5 C's as you plan your online lessons. Using the 5 C's as a sort of checklist can help you ensure you are providing the best experience possible for students while all of you are away from the classroom. Now, I'll provide a sample lesson that I planned quickly using materials I had already created or had access to. In an ideal world, we would design our online courses to be much better than we probably are going to do right now. But let's face it, what we are designing is not an online course per se. We're designing lessons to be delivered at a distance, and we're expected to do it quickly and efficiently. Keep in mind that a well-designed online course takes a long time to prepare. I spent an entire year developing mine. Many of you have only a few days to create your lessons. So, to help get you started, I put together a sample 3-week plan in a hurry as well. It's not perfect, and quite frankly, it's not meant to be. None of us are going to have a year to create our online courses right now. I asked myself the questions I posed earlier in this video. First, what technology do students have? My experience at my own college is that all students have smartphones. Most have access to a laptop, but not all. Do students have access to the internet? Well, students will certainly have access to the internet if they come to campus. Off campus, it's unclear. What technology does your institution provide? My college provides computer labs with internet access on campus, but it's unreasonable to assume all students will come to campus at this time. And with how quickly everything is changing at the moment, the college may close sooner rather than later. So, what can I feasibly expect from students? Well, I can expect that at the very least, they'll take part in text-based communication. Ideally, oral communication should occur, and I believe most students will be able to do this. But it's difficult to know just yet if all students will be able to do this from off campus, and I cannot expect students to come to campus right now. So I need to provide options to help them continue to learn. If you know your students can and must take part in oral communication, then you require it. But in my case, I'm not 100% sure if they will have what they need to do so I will offer other options. What other information do I need to design my instruction? First, I want to keep in mind that classes may resume in a few weeks at my college, so I may return to face-to-face instruction. This current instruction that I'm designing is meant to keep my students caught up until we know when we can resume classes. Second, I honestly don't feel I know just yet how well my face-to-face students will transition to online work. Some may jump right in, while others might need more guidance. This first lesson will get us started. I can add more challenging tasks, change the requirements, etc., as we all grow into this temporary mode of delivery. I put the following objectives together based on what I was planning to do with my face-to-face students in class over the next few weeks. You may be able to reuse your learning objectives for your upcoming lessons too. On this slide, I show that by the end of week 1, my students will be able to describe at least 3 activities they like to do and 2 activities they do not like to do outside. They will also compare what they like to do with at least 2 common pastimes in the Spanish-speaking world. By the end of week 2, they will be able to describe at least 3 activities they like to do and 2 they do not like to do outside. They will also tell what the weather is like and make plans with someone based on their common interests and the weather. Finally, by the end of week 3, students will be able to tell what they do with their friends and family in their free time and express what they are going to do this weekend. They will also compare what they do with activities that take place around the world. In Stage 2, I designed tasks that students would ideally have to practice multiple times, either on their own or with a classmate at a distance before completing. My expectation is that they will practice many times before submitting a final product. You may be able to keep some of your classroom-based tasks too, but you may find you need to be a bit more flexible in how the communication between students takes place. Finally, in Stage 3, there are many approaches you can use to planning the lesson once you know what you would like learners to be able to do at the end of instruction. Some of these are, for example, the lesson plan design steps presented by Donna Clementi and Laura Terrell in the Keys to Planning for Learning. They present a lesson plan template that is very much in line with Gagne's 9 events of instruction. You first gain attention, present the objectives, and activate prior knowledge. Next, multiple opportunities to provide input, elicit performance, and provide feedback take place. Performance is assessed. Then, an activity to enhance transfer and retention is provided. You could also use Lee and Van Patten's processing instruction. Distance Learning Special Interest Group past chair Victoria Russell has conducted multiple experiments on the use of processing instruction in online language instruction. Processing instruction involves first providing an explicit explanation of grammar that, instead of focusing on a paradigm, such as a verb conjugation chart, provides an explanation of just one aspect of the grammatical structure in question. Information on processing strategies is provided. Finally, structured input tasks and activities are employed to purposely focus learner attention on form. Structured input tasks and activities could be created using your LMS or Google Forms. More information on processing instruction can be found in Lee and Van Patten's book, Making Communicative Language Teaching Happen. You could also use a more traditional approach, such as presentation, practice, production, which is based on De Keyser's skill acquisition theory. That's what I'm going to focus on today. In the end, given the fact that I wanted to prepare my lesson in a hurry, I turned to presentation, practice, production. This is based on De Keyser's work with skill acquisition theory, which posits that learning a language is like learning any other skill. Declarative knowledge is proceduralized and automatized through practice. This approach involves first presenting content, such as an explanation of a grammatical structure, which, in an online environment, could occur through a video and/or a text-based presentation of content. A video or audio file would, of course, be ideal. Next, targeted practice of the structure is provided. This could occur in a workbook, either online or on paper. Finally, multiple opportunities for students to use the structure in authentic and communicative activities are provided. Given the need for many of us to prepare online instruction in a hurry, this approach, often called the dominant approach, or as Cook calls it, a contemporary version of the mainstream style of language teaching, might be what many of you will want to turn to until you get more used to teaching online. I like to take presentation, practice, production one step further in my courses and help students meet the ACTFL standards goal area of communities, specifically lifelong learning, and I add a reflection component to my lessons. This might be something each of you consider adding to your lessons. You might choose to organize your instruction in a learning management system, such as Blackboard, Canvas, or Moodle. There are many ways to do this. In a learning management system, there are typically blank documents you can type into, ways to link to URLs, as well as ways to upload files. Another simple way to do this is to create a Word document with instructions and email it to students. In fact, you could also put your instructions into the body of an email and send it out to students. Sometimes the simplest solution may not be the most elegant, but it could be the best. I provided a link to a sample lesson plan. You can find it at the address on the screen, which is bit.ly/sample lesson 2020-03. That's bit.ly/SAMPLELESSON 2020-03. All letters are lowercase. Feel free to download and use this as a template for some of your own lessons. I of course recommend you remove the presentation, practice, production, and reflection labels, as I just put those there so you can see how each step relates back to the steps that I had proposed earlier. Let's talk about using video for just a moment. I've received many questions about how to make a video from many people over the last week. As you noticed in the lesson plan I created, there were links, but they right now just go directly to YouTube. In my actual lesson plan, I plan to link to the videos I created myself over the year that I created my online course. But videos take a long time to create. When it comes to video, if you can avoid reinventing the wheel, I recommend it. If you can find, for example, a video on YouTube, go ahead and link to that. There are also many publisher-created videos out there. If you absolutely must record a video, please chunk the content appropriately. 10 minutes max, but less if you can. Also, write a script out for your video. Then you can use that as part of uploading a transcript to YouTube. It makes for a much more concise video, and the captions can help all learners. Finally, use the best microphone you can find around the house. If you do want to record your own video, such as the one I'm doing right now, you can do so using a PowerPoint presentation that you've used in class. First, open your PowerPoint presentation, then click Slideshow. Next, click Record Slideshow. When you're done recording, you can export your PowerPoint presentation as a video. If you use PowerPoint for Windows, click File, Save a Copy, then Save as MP4 file. If you use PowerPoint for Mac, you click File, then export, then save as MP4 file. Before we finish, let's take a look at a few other resources you can consider. First, my colleagues from the Distance Learning Special Interest Group and the Basic Online Language Design and Development Collaboratory will share other videos with apps and websites soon. In the meantime, I recommend you take a look at the resources that were developed by the ACTFL Distance Learning Special Interest Group, the National Foreign Language Resource Center at the University of Hawaii at Manoa, and the Basic Online Language Design and Development Collaboratory. They can be found at nflrc.hawaii.edu/events/view/105. These resources can help you with assessment, backward design, and other aspects of online language instruction. You may also wish to contact some of the major publishers, such as John Wiley & Sons, Inc., McGraw-Hill, Cengage, Pearson, among many others, to see if they are offering any open access to their online materials. Finally, I also recommend you take a look at the Personal Learning Network Tool Browser found at clt.manoa.hawaii.edu/PLN. You may also wish to consider taking part in the ACTFL Online Mentoring Program. Applications are now being accepted for mentors and mentees. As many of you have already seen, trying to put together online instruction in a hurry is very challenging, but I can assure you that it really is enjoyable to teach online when you have the time to properly prepare. That being said, if you decide you have an interest in teaching a language course at a distance in the future, but you'd like to take the time to learn more from an expert, I recommend you consider the online mentoring program from ACTFL. Novice online language educators are paired with experienced mentors. Mentors and mentees both have the chance to earn a digital badge from ACTFL for completing the requirements of the online mentoring program. Mentor and mentee applications are now open and are due June 30th. You can find more information at www.actfl.org/professional-development/career-resources/mentoring-program. In addition, I recommend you join the Distance Learning Special Interest Group. We are language educators who teach or coordinate online, blended, and flipped language courses and programs. We're interested in learning about and discussing online language instruction. And we're dedicated to sharing best practices for distance language education. In addition to our work in the design and development of the online mentoring program, we also offer 2 awards: the ACTFL Distance Learning Special Interest Group Calico Online Language Teaching Award for higher education and K-12 instructors. We offer at least 2 webinars on online instruction per year. We publish at least 3 newsletters each year, and we have a very active Distance Learning Special Interest Group community. Finally, we offer DL-SIG business meetings and multiple DL-SIG sponsored sessions at ACTFL. If you have not chosen a SIG yet, please choose us. It's free for your first SIG. In addition, you can also pay $5 for all additional SIGs. Trust me, you'll get your money's worth out of the Distance Learning Special Interest Group if you choose us. I'd like to finish by emphasizing the ideas of flexibility and forgiveness. Your students are nervous about this transition to learning online. And let's admit it, you're probably nervous about teaching online too. I'd emphasize that there is a lot of fear and uncertainty in general right now. I would highly recommend you be flexible with your students at this difficult time. Please be willing to forgive them. And of course, please be willing to forgive yourself along the way. Thank you for your time, and I wish each of you the best at this challenging moment in time.